assalamu alaikum. I would like to say a special hello to my team. I've got my key team here tonight. That is very, very important. I also would like to thank the best mayor Surrey ever had, Diane Watts. Let's put our hands together for Diane. My friends, I know that Diane introduced many of the important people here, but I do want to particularly say hello to my colleague, the MLA from Delta South, the agriculture critic in the official opposition. Ian Payton is here with his wife Pam. Where are you, Ian? Thank you very much. He's very good for the blueberry farmers and the ranchers and the farmers. And I'd also like to say somebody that I have had the pleasure of working with in government. You know, in government, to get things done, you have to unite together. We unite to work with the federal government, the local government, and one of the members of parliament that has always thought about putting the interests of Surrey first, that helped me when I needed dollars to help widen number 10 highway to 4 lanes, that helped on so many important projects that have benefited Surrey, and that's your MP, Suk Dhaliwal. I want to thank Suk Dhaliwal for being here. Now, my friends, this is a very, very exciting time for me, because tonight we get to introduce the next MLA for the riding of Surrey North, Asad Gondal, and I'm so excited to have Asad as our next candidate. And I'm going to say a few words about Asad in just a moment here, but I want to say a few words to all of you. Why is it important to support a great man and a great candidate like Asad Gondal? Well, I'll tell you why. Because I've been in government before, and I know how important it is that individuals make a big difference when they get elected. Individuals can help me and us as a government get important things done for Surrey. And I just want to touch on a few areas that I think are very important for people right now, because everyone should understand this. After 7 years of an NDP government, we've become the most expensive, unaffordable province in all of Canada. It's very expensive to live here. We have the highest housing prices in North America. We have the highest gas prices in North America. We have the highest average rent in Canada. And we are going to make things more affordable. We're going to start by getting rid of the carbon tax and eliminating provincial fuel taxes. That's 15 cents a litre that you will save immediately every time you fill up your car. Because it is important that we put more money back in your pockets. Because British Columbians are struggling right now. And we can't have an economy where people are looking to go elsewhere, where people are moving to British Columbia, from British Columbia to Alberta, and to Ontario, and to other provinces. We want them staying here in British Columbia, raising families here, building a business here, building a future here. And that's what we can do with the kind of people like Asad Gondal, who's going to help us get elected. But the second thing that's important is education. This is very important for all of us, especially in Surrey. Because remember this, the government, the current NDP government promised almost 8 years ago that they would eliminate the portables in Surrey. Has anybody noticed that the portables have not gone away in Surrey? We've got double the number of portables, and now they're looking at stacking them on top of each other because we're running out of space at the schools. My wife is a teacher, and I can tell you it is important that we make sure that we're investing in schools ahead of time so that the schools are ready to be open by the time the population is moving into that neighborhood. We have to get ahead and start building schools again. But the other thing we have to do too is make sure our schools are safe for our children. That means saying in our schools, no more vaping in our schools. We don't want our kids to be vaping in schools. We will make sure we have alarms in place so that when they're vaping in the bathrooms, we know about it and we stop it. We must protect our kids. And we have to make sure no more cell phones in schools, because cell phones in schools mean our kids are distracted. No more cell phones. But here's something else that's very important. We also have to make sure that in our schools we are teaching about education. Not indoctrination, but education. We want to make sure our kids are learning to read, to write, and mathematics. And just remember this, you know, back when I first got elected, all the way back in 2001, I remember that in the 1990s, the big concern that the public had about the NDP government was about their sex education. They were talking about things to our children at too young an age. Parents were very, very concerned. And you know what we did? We brought in changes. We said, in the future, no more, you have to send a notice to the parents. A notice to the parents that says, these are the subjects that your kids are going to hear about this week. And if you have concerns about that, you can take your child from the classroom and you can make sure you explain it consistent with your own principles, your own values, your own religious beliefs. And that has been a success for over 20 years. And so too is SOGI. I've said this many, many times. SOGI was supposed to be about protecting people from bullying, making sure that kids are not being bullied based on their ethnic background, based on where they were born, based on what religion they believe in, based on whatever other issues, their sexual orientation. No bullying. We don't want kids to be bullied. But at the same time, we must make sure that we have not got teachers trying to talk about things that are inappropriate for young children in a classroom. Let our kids be kids. Let our kids be kids. And so we will bring in changes that establish a few very important principles. I've talked about this for a long time now. Number one, parents need to be involved in our education system. That is a very important principle. We don't push parents out like the NDP do, we bring parents in. Number two, the parents have a right to know what's going on in the classroom. That is called transparency. So you know what's being taught to our kids. That's an important principle. And number three, and perhaps the most important, it must be age appropriate. We cannot have things being taught to our kids when they're too young to understand what they're talking about. And so, my friends, that is very, very important for us when we form government. But there's also something else that I think is very important to all of us, and that is the drug crisis. We have a very serious drug crisis in the province of British Columbia, and we have to protect our children from the drug crisis. And what's happening right now in government concerns me greatly. The solution to those that are struggling with addiction is not to provide free government-supplied drugs. It's to say we need to provide free treatment to help people get better, to help them recover from their addictions, not to just give out government drugs to people. Imagine this, when I was in government, back with Gordon Campbell and Christy Clark when they were premiers, we were concerned about smoking, and you know what we did? We said no more smoking in restaurants, no more smoking in office buildings, no more smoking in public places, and it worked. We saw less children take up smoking. That was a good thing. Why on earth does the NDP think that when you want to get people to do less of something, the answer isn't to just hand out free drugs and to encourage people to come into the classrooms and tell the kids, like they did on Vancouver Island, how to snort cocaine safely? That makes no sense. We're going to teach kids that drugs are dangerous, that they shouldn't use drugs, that they ought to stay away from drugs. That's what a BC United government's going to do, is protect our children and put their interests first. And so, my friends, tonight and today is so important because I want to talk about the year 2001, because a couple of things happened that were very important in the year 2001. The first thing that happened was I got elected for the very first time with a BC Liberal government in 2001. And what's really interesting about that is 2 years before I got elected, the polls said that we weren't going to win. And do you know what happened in 2001? We won the largest majority in the history of the province of British Columbia, along with Gordon Campbell and myself. It was very, very exciting. But another thing that happened in 2001 is that Asad Gondal moved his family here to British Columbia to start a new life. build a future, raise his family. And him, Asad and Roxana and Ali, Hamid and Isha, all started to raise themselves here in British Columbia. And Asad worked hard, like all immigrants do. He started out working at a 7-Eleven, and that was a dangerous job, Asad can tell you. He got robbed twice at gunpoint. Then he moved over and he was delivering pizzas for a while, even though he was a very high education, a master's in agronomy, a very good person. Then he became an entrepreneur, and he became successful, working hard like all immigrants do, contributing to the city, contributing to the province, contributing to the country. And then he started giving back to the community as the president of the BC Muslim Association, giving back and helping out around the world, raising money and helping those that need a helping hand. That was Asad Gondal. And today, Asad wants to help all of us by getting elected here in British Columbia, becoming a member of the Legislative Assembly, and I cannot think of a better person to help me as we bring forward the kind of changes I just touched on here tonight, the kind of changes that will make sure that our kids get a strong education, to make sure that we have safe streets, not dangerous streets, to make sure that we're focusing on an economy where you can afford to live in British Columbia, where you can feel confident about the future, not scared about the future, where you can believe that your children can have an opportunity to grow up and raise a family right here in British Columbia. And my friends, with Asad Gondal as the next MLA from Surrey North, I know we can do that. And remember this, that every provincial election is actually 93 individual elections. Our job is to make sure that Asad Gondal becomes the next MLA from Surrey North. And with your support, we can do that. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to say to my brother Asad, I want to welcome Asad Gondal up to the stage. And I want us to welcome and cheer the next MLA for Surrey North, Mr. Asad Gondal.
Hey, I would say, balle bhi balle. That's the real image of the Canada. If I look this side, Chadda Punjab, Talanda Punjab, Afghanistan di Gayur Awam. Fiji, Ireland de Khawatino Hazrat, Bangladesh and white Canadians. Today you make this room as real Canada. Thank you all being here. Your presence is overwhelming, more appreciated than you know. Assalamu alaikum and good evening everyone. Thank you, Kevin, for your wonderful introductions. Your friendship has played a large part in the decision has brought me to this stage today. I want to thank you all for joining us here this afternoon. Your presence is reassuring, especially at a time when we all faced so much uncertainty. You are here. Despite your struggle, you are here. Despite your frustration, you are here. Despite increasing polarizing and negative political environment, you are here. Let me share you my story. I, Muhammad Asad Gondal, did my master, and that was in my blood, the public service. Why? Because my father was a public servant. You know, we say, apple does not fall far from the tree. So I started my career in a public service. I worked for the Pakistan government sector for 10 years. I got opportunity to work with the political culture, working with the provincial minister of the Pakistan. That I learned a little bit. So the public service was in my passion, but it all ended 2001 when I decided to come to found a new land, which I made my home, Canada. I know nothing about Surrey. Nobody knows that I know him here. So I landed at Vancouver Airport, having Ruxana, Hamad and Ali. They were very young. So we end up in a basement, having nothing, no bedding, no food, no parts, no pants, just us. So next day, I start situating myself. So what I did, I tried to found a community, people. I start going to the mosque, I start going to the library, and I start going to the community centers. Initially, they were all people, they were all places, and later they become community, which you know, which you are today here. I have no word to thank you all. Your presence makes a huge difference. ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਕਤਦਾਰ ਦੇ ਝੂੰਟਿਆਂ ਤੇ ਚੜਾਉਣ ਵਾਲੇ ਤੇ ਇਕਤਦਾਰ ਦੇ ਝੂੰਟਿਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਲਾਉਣ ਵਾਲੇ ਹੋ। Kevin, these people who are under this roof here, so basically they are the one who brings the people in a leadership role. So they are here today and they have a confidence in you and they have confidence in the BC United. You have said tons of things and I have a full trust of those people who are sitting here. They can switch the turn around. So they can make the things work for you and they can make the things work for BC United. So this was a little story about me. The rest Kevin has said. I don't want to repeat it again. This was nothing. So every Canadian, every immigrant who came, they have a similar, even worse or even better, same story. But I have a better life in Pakistan. It was very easy for me to pack and go back. But no, I have the same excitement. I have the same energy which I have 5 years ago when I started my career in Pakistan for the public service. I am here, I am excited, I am available. Over the last 2.5 years, I have been actively taking part in the community engagement, tirelessly, working to improve the life of those around me. I never in my wildest dream thought I would be in the position, but destiny and my journey brought me here. I am ready, willing, able, and available. I believe in the hard work. I believe in staying true to your words. I believe in uniting. I believe in Kevin Falcon. I believe in the leadership. I believe in authenticity. I believe in a better future for your kids and mine. I remain hopeful. My journey has delighted that. I am Asad Gondal. I proudly stand here in front of you as your BC United candidate for Surrey North. Join Kevin Falcon and me. We set out to restore hope for families across British Columbia. We need innovators, not ideologues, governing our province. We need thinkers, not managers, to propel us into the future. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Kevin, so it's an exciting day today for you and for BC United. Yes. How you feel? Look at the crowd.
It's incredible. It's a huge crowd, one of the biggest crowds I've spoken to in the last couple of months, and it's exciting because I think people are genuinely excited about Asad. Asad Gondal, I think, will not only be a great voice for his community, the Muslim community, but for the entire community. And I'm just thrilled that he's our candidate. I know he's a great entrepreneur. He's been very, very involved in his community for many decades, and I'm just proud to have him as part of our team. We're uniting people and bringing them together so that we can win.
So Asad, why you decided to go with BC United versus other two parties?
It's very simple, united. So that's my passion, to unite. Because I personally feel that this is the only party who is uniting people. And tonight, this evening, it's a big example of the united Canada. Have you seen this side of Punjab, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, white Canadian, Fijian, Indian, Bangladesh. So basically, we unite people as a community, and that's the BC United, and that's make me have a confidence on Kevin Falcon, so we can unite together.
ਸੋ ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਜੀ, ਥੋੜੇ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ 'ਚ ਥੋੜੇ ਕਮੈਂਟ ਚਾਹੀਦੇ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਲਾਹੌਰ ਤੋਂ ਹੋ ਤੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਦੀ ਬਿਗਿਨਿੰਗ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ, ਉਹਦੇ ਬਾਅਦ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਰਾਜਨੀਤੀ ਜੰਪ ਕਰਨ ਦਾ ਇਹ ਡਿਸੀਜਨ ਕਿਉਂ ਬਣਾਇਆ?
ਇਹ ਮੈਂ ਕੋਈ ਡਿਸੀਜਨ ਅੱਜ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਣਾਇਆ। 21 ਸਾਲ ਤੋਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਸੇਵਾ ਮੇਰੇ ਬਲੱਡ 'ਚ ਸੀ, ਸੇਵਾ ਮੇਰੇ ਖੂਨ 'ਚ ਸੀ, ਮੈਂ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰਦਾ ਕਰਦਾ ਇੱਥੇ ਆ ਗਿਆ ਔਰ ਥੋੜ੍ਹੀ ਦੇਰ ਹੀ ਗਵਾਚਾ ਔਰ ਮੈਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਦੇਰ ਇੱਧਰ ਉੱਧਰ ਗਿਆ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ। ਜਦੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਹੁਣੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿ ਸੇਬ ਜਦੋਂ ਦਰਖਤ ਤੋਂ ਡਿੱਗਦਾ ਹੈ ਪੱਕ ਕੇ ਦੂਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਡਿੱਗਦਾ। ਮੇਰਾ ਬਾਪ ਵੀ ਪਬਲਿਕ ਸਰਵੈਂਟ ਸੀ, ਮੈਂ ਵੀ ਪਬਲਿਕ ਸਰਵੈਂਟ ਸਾਂ। ਆਬਵੀਅਸਲੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ ਐਜ਼ ਇਮੀਗਰੈਂਟ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਸਟੋਰੀ ਥੋੜ੍ਹੀ ਜਿਹੀ ਡਿਫੀਕਲਟ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ, ਲੇਕਿਨ ਜੋ ਹੀ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਸਮਝਣ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਜਦੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਇਕੱਠਾ ਕੀਤਾ ਤਾਂ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮੇਰਾ ਅਸਲ ਚਿਹਰਾ ਸੀ ਉਹ ਇਹ ਹੀ ਸੀ, ਪਬਲਿਕ ਸਰਵਿਸ, ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੀ ਸੇਵਾ। ਤੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੀ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰਨ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ BC ਯੂਨਾਈਟਿਡ ਤੋਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਬਿਹਤਰ ਅਪਰਚੁਨਿਟੀ ਪਲੇਟਫਾਰਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਨਜ਼ਰ ਆਇਆ।
So Kevin, couple of political questions. You know, you guys tried to have a meeting with John Rustad about some kind of compromise. Why it collapsed?
Well, because he said no. It's that simple. I mean, we really tried to listen to a lot of our supporters and people in the public that said, please, whatever you do, don't split the vote and allow the NDP to win seats they otherwise wouldn't win. And so we met with representatives of both parties, came to sort of an agreement on a framework that could form the basis of a discussion, and he rejected it. And he has the right to do that. I'm not critical of it. I think it was a big mistake on his part. The BC Conservatives have never elected an MLA in 50 years in this province. And the confusion between the BC Conservatives and the federal Conservatives, which are two very separate parties, is going to become cleared up by the time the election rolls around. I guarantee you they will regret the decision that they made.
And Kevin, Eleanor Sturko was a star candidate for your party. And all the policies that BC Conservatives are saying, it goes totally against Eleanor being a, lesbian and all that kind of stuff. What happened there?
Well, I think that, look, she's a new MLA, and she got scared. She got scared because of polls. And unfortunately, what she did is she went against all her principles, all her values. Everything she told me and us as a party, she said she couldn't stand that party and would have nothing to do with them until the day she joined them. And honestly, I mean, I'm part of me is sympathetic because I understand what it's like when you want to get reelected and you're scared. But I also think that, it would be like me joining the NDP. I would never do that. There is never, ever, ever any possibility. You know me well enough. Never. I could never sacrifice my principles. So, look, I think that she will have to explain that to voters. And I think voters are going to have a problem with that. I really do.
Did she talk to you before deciding?
No, she did not.
So, what is your plan? You talk about the polls and drilling in the polls and stuff. And you're looking at the crowd and you're pretty optimistic.
Oh, I'm very optimistic because, look, Suk Dhaliwal's here too. We've seen Suk Dhaliwal, as he was reminding me, I was chatting with him, he's run under every kind of different leader you can imagine, from Dion to Chrétien to Martin to, Trudeau. And it doesn't matter if they're high in the polls or low in the polls, he wins. Because at the end of the day, the election is about 93 different elections. And that's why when you find good candidates win. And that's why I'm so confident. I don't care about polls, I care about people. We're going to get the right people, we'll get them elected.
What is your message to our listeners?
Well, my message would be this, that, the province is in a whole world of trouble right now, right? I mean, we've got, the highest housing prices, the highest taxes, we've got the highest gas prices, we've got the highest rents in the country. This is not good. We got to change that. I was part of a government that did change that. We reduced taxes. We made it more affordable. People, when I retired from government in 2013, people could buy affordable homes in Surrey, right here. Now they're the most unaffordable in the entire country after 7 years of NDP. That's no good. We've got to do a better job. We will do a better job.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Hi, Diane. So another exciting day today.
It is.
And you are connected with BC United from day one. How you feel today?
Oh, I feel very excited. This room is absolutely electric. We've got a lot of people here, and they've all come out, to support BC United, an extraordinary candidate. And so, I'm really looking forward to making sure that we get all of our messages out in terms of our policy, what we want to accomplish, and I know we can do it.
And, what do you think about Eleanor Strucko jumping the ship? What is your take on that?
Well, I think she probably saw an opportunity for herself that she, that could, get her to where she wanted to be sooner. And I don't know what that is. I mean, everybody makes decisions for whatever reason. I think what really matters is how you treat the people that got you there in the first place. And I think that's key.
Totally. And you've been to this field long enough to know. And what do you think about looking at the polls? Where BC United is drilling in the polls. What is your take on that?
Well, you know what? I mean, I think it's an indication that people want change. They're just not sure where the confusion comes in from with the BC Conservatives. They're purposefully mixing things up with the federal Conservatives,
yes.
And they're riding on Pierre Poilievre's coattails, and there's nothing. They're not associated with one another. They're not colleagues of one another. They're two very separate parties.
So you're pretty optimistic that,
You know what? As we all know, things can change on a dime. And so with politics, especially in BC, you never know what's going to happen. So I think it's really important. We've got so many good candidates that we get out there and we just work. You've got to work, and the chips are going to fall where they're going to fall. But I'm excited. We've got some really stellar people.
Thank you. Anji Japreet Singh Leal, you're a candidate from Surrey, Newton. ਤੇ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਮਾਹੌਲ 'ਚ ਅੱਜ ਨਵਾਂ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟ ਨੇ ਅਨਾਉਂਸ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ ਮਿਸਟਰ ਅਸਦ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਫੀਲ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ
ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਮਿਸਟਰ ਸਿੱਧੂ ਤੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਹੀ ਦਰਸ਼ਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਮੇਰੇ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਪਿਆਰ ਭਰੀ ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਤੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਬੜੀ ਖੁਸ਼ੀ ਹੋਈ ਅੱਜ ਸ਼ਾਮਲ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਇੱਕ ਨਵਾਂ ਉਮੀਦਵਾਰ ਐਲਾਨਿਆ ਗਿਆ ਜੀ ਸਰੀ ਨਾਰਥ ਤੋਂ ਤੇ ਸਾਡੀ ਟੀਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋਰ ਵੀ ਇੱਕ ਸਟਰੋਂਗ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟ ਸ਼ਾਮਲ ਹੋਇਆ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਿ ਆਪਾਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਵੀ ਦੇਖ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਸਾਡੀ ਟੀਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਸਟਰੋਂਗ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟਸ ਨੇ ਡਾਕਟਰਸ ਲਾਇਰਸ ਇੰਜੀਨੀਅਰਸ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ ਪੀਪਲ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਐਡਵੋਕੇਟਸ ਨੇ ਸੋ ਆਪਾਂ ਬੜੇ ਖੁਸ਼ ਹਾਂ ਜੀ ਸਾਡੀ ਪੂਰੀ ਟੀਮ ਬੜੀ ਖੁਸ਼ਕਿਸਮਤ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇੰਨੇ ਵਧੀਆ ਉਮੀਦਵਾਰ ਮਿਲ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਜੀ
So you are against about the giant candidate in our community, Mr. Harry Baines. ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਸ ਗੱਲ ਤੋਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਡਰ ਤਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਗਦਾ
ਦੇਖੋ ਜੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਇੱਕ ਕੈਂਪੇਨ ਰਨ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਨਾ ਆਪਾਂ ਇੱਕ ਪੋਜ਼ਿਟਿਵ ਕੈਂਪੇਨ ਰਨ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ BC ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਆਲਰੇਡੀ ਪਤਾ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਮਸਲੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਸਾਡੀ ਸਰੀ ਨਿਊਟਨ ਦੀ ਰਾਈਡਿੰਗ 'ਚ ਬਹੁਤ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮਸ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਚਿਰ ਦੀ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਖੜੋਤ ਆਈ ਹੋਈ ਆ ਉਹ ਮਸਲੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਐਡਰੈਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਸੋ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਬੜੀ ਇੱਕ ਐਨਰਜੀ ਮਿਲਦੀ ਹੈ ਜਦੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਕੰਸਟੀਚੂਐਂਟਸ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦਾ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਚੇਂਜ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਸੋ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਝਿਜਕ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੀ ਜੀ ਜੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਈਵਨ ਮਿਸਟਰ ਬੈਂਸ ਦੇ ਖਿਲਾਫ ਖੜ੍ਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਉਸ ਰਾਈਡਿੰਗ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਵਿਜ਼ਨ ਆ ਉਹ ਆਪਾਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਕੰਸਟੀਚੂਐਂਟਸ ਤੱਕ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਰੀ ਨਿਊਟਨ ਦੇ ਵਸਨੀਕ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਤੱਕ ਆਪਾਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਜੀ
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ji.
Thank you. Hi, welcome, and your name, your riding.
Sure. My name is Noemi Victorino. I'm the BC United candidate for Surrey Guildford.
And why you decided to run for a political office?
Thank you for the question. It's actually what prompted it is when I watch the news and I don't like what's going on anymore in the province. Like there's so much poverty, there's so many people dying. Everything is unaffordable, and I've been in Canada for 35 years and I've never seen it so bad. And that's actually what prompted me to put my name to run for political office.
Yeah. So, what is your background? From which community, and what do you do as a profession?
Yeah, sure. So I was born in the Philippines. I worked for the Canada Border Services Agency for 20 years as a senior officer, and I'm currently the director of nonprofit in the Tri-Cities. So I've always been with the public, serving the community. So it's just natural for me to just step up and help the entire province this time.
And why you're optimistic? You know your party is trailing in the polls, and where your optimism come from?
Absolutely, because if you read the fine lines of those polls, those are actually based on 800 people. So if you're gonna use 800 people as our basis for making a decision, that is not very accurate, right? And for me, when I go out to the community and when I talk to people, they're actually quite positive about the BC United. So I don't really listen to the polls. I listen to the people that I talk to. I listen to the community that I talk to. And really, BC United has the best candidates, in my opinion. They're well vetted. We have a great leader in Kevin Falcon. We cannot afford to have another NDP government, and we cannot afford to have a BC Conservative government because they have not elected anyone in 50 years. It is a scary thought if you are handing the province to a party that has never elected anyone in 50 years. So the decision is really simple, right? It's a law of elimination. No to NDP, no to Conservative. You are with BC United.
Thank you very much, and
You're welcome.
good luck to you. ਹਾਂਜੀ, ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਨਾਂ ਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਐਸੋਸੀਏਸ਼ਨ ਹੈ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਦੱਸੋ।
ਮੇਰਾ ਨਾਮ ਜੀ ਮੁਹੰਮਦ ਅਰਜਮਨ ਤਾਹਿਰ। ਸਾਡੀ ਐਸੋਸੀਏਸ਼ਨ ਦਾ ਨਾਮ ਹੈ ਇਸਲਾਮਿਕ ਸੁਪਰੀਮ ਕਾਉਂਸਲ ਆਫ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਵਾਈਡ ਸਾਡੀ ਆਰਗੇਨਾਈਜੇਸ਼ਨ।
ਸੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਅੱਜ ਅਸਦ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਨੋਮੀਨੇਸ਼ਨ ਡਿਕਲੇਅਰ ਹੋਇਆ ਆ, ਸੋ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਕੀ ਸੰਬੰਧ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਉਂ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ?
ਅਸਦ ਗੋਂਦਲ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਸੰਬੰਧ ਆ ਉਹ ਮੇਰਾ ਐਜ਼ ਬੜੇ ਭਾਈ ਵੀ ਨੇ, ਔਰ ਦੂਸਰਾ ਮੁਸਲਿਮ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਦੇ ਇੱਕ ਲੀਡਰ ਨੇ। ਬ੍ਰਿਟਿਸ਼ ਕੋਲੰਬੀਆ ਐਸੋਸੀਏਸ਼ਨ, ਬ੍ਰਿਟਿਸ਼ ਕੋਲੰਬੀਆ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਡੀ ਮੁਸਲਿਮ ਆਰਗੇਨਾਈਜੇਸ਼ਨ ਆ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਹੈੱਡ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ। ਔਰ ਅਲਹਮਦੁਲਿਲਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਬੈਕ ਅਗਰ 8 ਸਾਲ ਦਾ ਟਰੈਕ ਰੈਕਡ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਜਾਵੇ ਮੁਸਲਿਮ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਅੱਛੇ ਕੰਮ ਕੀਤੇ ਨੇ। ਆਲਵੇਜ਼ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਫਰੰਟ ਲਾਈਨ 'ਤੇ ਦੇਖਿਆ, ਕੋਵਿਡ ਹੋਵੇ, ਅਰਥਕੁਏਕ ਹੋਵੇ, ਫਲੱਡ ਹੋਵੇ, ਔਰ ਦੁਨੀਆ 'ਚ ਕਿਤੇ ਵੀ ਹੋਵੇ, ਕਿਸੇ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਨਾਲ ਵੀ ਹੋਵੇ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਫਰੰਟ ਲਾਈਨ 'ਤੇ ਦੇਖਿਆ। ਫਿਰ ਇੱਕ ਪੜ੍ਹੇ ਲਿਖੇ ਬੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਐਜੂਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਮਾਮਲੇ 'ਚ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਬੜੇ ਅੱਛੇ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਨੇ। ਔਰ ਸੋ ਉਮੀਦ ਹੈ ਸਾਨੂੰ, ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਇੱਕ ਹੈਲਥ ਐਜੂਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰ ਰਚਨਾ ਸਿੰਘ, ਜੋ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਜੇ ਗੰਦ ਪਾਇਆ ਸੋਜੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਮ 'ਤੇ, ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਉਮੀਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ BCMA 'ਚ ਕੰਮ ਕੀਤਾ ਮੁਸਲਿਮ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਲਈ ਔਰ ਦੂਸਰੀ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀਜ਼ ਲਈ ਕੰਮ ਕੀਤਾ, ਉਮੀਦ ਹੈ ਕਿ MLA ਬਣ ਕੇ ਇਹ ਇਨਸ਼ਾ ਅੱਲਾਹ ਤਾਲਾ ਸੋਜੀ ਦਾ ਵੀ ਖਾਤਮਾ ਕਰਨਗੇ।
ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਵੈਰੀ ਮਚ।